It is the place to be on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday.
All right.
This is the place to be on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday. Because you tune in to listen to Chris sing. Sing.
Are you still singing that, or am I just getting a backlog?
No, I'm doing a... Never mind.
Okay. No, you know what it is I was getting a backlog because I had just clicked on to share it, and I was like,
oops.
Man, he's still going with this, huh?
Because I'm going, yeah. Because Chris is singing. It's what you come here for.
We will be starting in less than 30 seconds. Hang out with us, please. Thank you all for joining.
Hi, everybody. It's good to have everybody here tonight.
All right. Sharing it out to our final place, and we will be ready to rock and roll. Chris, are you ready to go?
I am ready to go. Hey, everybody. Just remember, sharing is caring. Hit that share button. Share it with your friends and family and other people you don't know.
You have Audacity up?
Yes, sir.
All right. This episode of Behind the Ears Podcast is proudly sponsored by Streaming Disney. Catch all of the live streams over Inside Disney only at their Facebook page, YouTube, and Twitter at The Streaming Disney. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Fantastic Memories Travel, and its Mouse Master Travel Group. The Mouse Master Travel Group focuses on Disney destination vacations, and the Mouse Master agents would love to take care of the stressful parts of your vacation planning so you can focus on the fun. You can check them out at mousemastertravel.com. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny. Alongside of me tonight, Mr. Chris. Mr. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous tonight. It is an absolutely wonderful yet warm day here, or I should say evening, here in Northwest Indiana. Finally getting a little bit of the spring that we never got. So I'm pretty excited about that, and hope that no matter wherever you guys are at, that you are also having an awesome day.
Yeah, it was like a Florida winter day here. It was like 81 degrees here in New Jersey, so that's like a typical, January day in Central Florida, something along the lines of that, right?
Oh, to have that problem 365 days a year.
Right? Except, you know what? I would not want to deal with their summer at all. No.
Although, where do we go into summertime for vacation?
Where am I heading in June?
Where are you heading into? If I'm not mistaken, you're heading there in 26, 27 days. If I'm not counting, I'm not counting or anything.
It's got to be somewhere right in that ballpark. So what tonight's show is going to be all about is we are bringing you the news around Disney World.
News.
We've got some really cool things, and we've got some very peculiar things happening in Disney. So let's start with the one that I feel like has been popping up inside Disney a little too much lately. And this is coming from Fox News, and it's a Disney World theft. Woman uses child to steal stroller at theme park.
What?
Yeah, she uses her kid. Okay, so we've heard about people stealing carriages, strollers, however you want to call them. You've heard of this happening. Now I feel like you've gone to an all-time low. And I'm not using anybody's name because I do not think it is appropriate when the news puts out people's names. I understand people want to shame them, whatever the case is. I do not want to give them their 15 minutes of fame on our show. But on April 15th, Lauren Colazzo, the only reason I said her name is because she got her item stolen from her, is reported that her $1,800 I'm going to repeat that. $1,800 Bugaboo stroller.
Wow.
What? First of all, before we get into the story, what are you doing with an $1,800 stroller? That's neither here nor there. I get it.
Hey, dude, all I have to say is I've owned cars that were cheaper than that. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah, it's out of control. But to get back to the story on hand, on April 15th, Lauren reported that her $1,800 Bugaboo stroller, which she had left outside a Hollywood Studios attraction, was stolen while she was on the ride. Disney World surveillance video showed a woman later revealed to be blankety blank from Florida taking the stroller with a child inside of it. According to WFTS, Collazo had stored several essential items inside the stroller's bottom compartment, including wallets, her niece's EpiPen, and her car keys, stranding the family at the park. Collazo was forced to call her husband, who had to fly to Miami to help the family out. And, there's a picture of the woman who literally just took her child, threw her in a carriage, and just walked out of the park.
That's amazing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I didn't get a chance to read this beforehand because, by the way, everybody, in case you don't know, we are unscripted. That is just, first off, after you finish this, we have to talk a little bit about trying to help people get some common sense with this.
Right. Here's the thing. I'm seeing people said she got arrested. She turned herself in, which is great and all. But man, you're at an all-time level if you're going to commit a crime like that, especially inside Disney. You're at an even all-time lower aspect. You are at rock bottom when you use your kid to commit a crime.
But it's the ultimate camouflage, right?
Who would question that? Who
would question a kid in a stroller and you're pushing the stroller? No one. I mean, that's the thing. So obviously this person gave it some thought. But at the same time, I mean, and I say this with respect. You don't want to leave stuff in a stroller, let alone like an EpiPen. I always thought people who carry EpiPens should carry them with them all the time. I mean, that's what I've always heard. I mean, my daughter has an EpiPen, but she doesn't carry it with her. In fact, that's probably expired. Who knows? But the thing is, you don't leave wallets or keys or other belongings in a stroller.
I disagree.
You disagree? You would keep wallets in a stroller?
I've kept my phone, because think about it. When I'm going on Tower of Terror, if I'm traveling with family and we have a stroller, why would I carry my phone? The last thing I want to do is go on one of these rides and it's in my pocket and boom, now I just obliterated the front of my screen. And you know what? It's happened to me where I've literally had my phone in my pocket and you lean the wrong way or you get thrown in a ride and it completely destroys your phone. I see people, maybe would I recommend leaving your purse unattended? No. An EpiPen, unless you were in dire need of it, I don't see why
it all depends on the allergy. I mean,
it really does.
Yeah, I mean, because some people have food allergies, so if you don't ingest it, it's probably not a problem. Some people have environmental allergies that are much more pertinent to exposure risk that really should have one with them. At least, I mean, I don't have one. I don't have as bad allergies. My daughter is allergic to some things, but it's mainly food. She knows what it is. Not a really big deal. But, I guess I just see it in a slightly different way. I would never leave my phone behind or anything else that matter. I mean, granted, I do agree with you, though. Sometimes on some ride, all you really need is to have your phone jostled the right way and hit the front screen, just the right way. And all of a sudden you got a nice little, screen that looks like it should be part of Haunted Mansion.
I see Ashley had said, it would be nice if Disney had lockers like Universal, but they do. They have lockers all around the park. And the thing is with the lockers, man, sometimes you got to rent multiple ones. Here's the thing. I tend not to carry a lot of valuable things into the park. And also, I'm the type of person where I have my debit card, my credit card, and my cash. Okay? I don't bring all of that into the park with me. Not in the fear of, oh my God, someone's going to steal something from me. More in the fear of, I don't want to lose it and then be like, well, what do I do now? You would think, though, inside Disney is the one place where you could really relax and not have to worry about something like this happening. But hey, when you're cramming that many people into one tight area, people are going to be mischievous and they're going to take advantage of people's, just not thinking, like you are in a normal situation.
I'll tell you what, what's even worse than stroller stealing? Someone stole a wheelchair one time. Now, how do I know this? It was my mom's wheelchair.
God, really?
It was during one of the trips that the moms came with us, and fortunately, it was we were staying at the boardwalk, and they actually had a wheelchair there that they said that my mom could use during the one day stay that we were there, because we were actually going on a Disney cruise. And so we went ahead and used it. I toted my mom around in a stroller. I toted my mom around in a wheelchair, not a stroller. Sorry, that was just weird. And it was like 3/4 of the day went by. All of a sudden, I'm looking for the do it again, for the wheelchair, and it was gone. And I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding!" Now, my mom was able to walk through lines and stuff like that, but she wasn't able to like walk long distances without being tired. Fortunately, Disney helped out. They gave me another one in order to at least get back to the boardwalk that evening, and I dropped it off there. They were really cool about it. But at the same time, it's like, what if this was, someone's wheelchair that, was their personal one? Those wheelchairs are not cheap. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we're not making a direct correlation between strollers and wheelchairs and stuff like that, but it really kind of begs the question. This is a question that comes up often in many different Facebook groups, in regards to how do I keep my stroller from getting ripped off? Can I lock my stroller? The answer to that is no, you can't lock your stroller, at least not to anything immobile, because cast members do have the right, and they do, to, move them around to help with traffic flow and this, that, and the other. And, it's just one of those cases. So you're right. I think it's an all-time low that someone would take either a stroller or, a wheelchair, or even if you leave your key in a mobility scooter or something like that, and you're not a cast member relocating it. But doing something like this, absolutely nuts. Now, as for keeping your valuables, as you can tell, Uncle Danny and I have a couple different opinions on this, and that's okay. We both do some things a little bit differently, but it's just one of those. It's just one of those things. I mean, some people I saw flash up there, they would never leave valuables. But, hey, sometimes you could stash, some of these strollers, especially if they're big, you can stash things left and right. You never know they're there.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next point. And this one kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit, and I was a little perturbed on this topic.
What's that?
This is coming out of WCPO Cincinnati, Channel 9. And it was an article written by John Mattersey. $6,000 to visit Disney World. Not so, says mom. So, okay, you've got my attention. Then, in very small lettering under the title, it says, don't waste your money. So at that point, I'm like,
what?
Okay.
Don't waste your money. Really?
And then the main picture of the article is a show they must have done, if I'm not mistaken, it must have been late 90s. Where I don't know if you guys remember, it was like almost like a parade float, but Mickey Mouse was in like almost like a giant snow globe.
Oh yes, that was the have a dream come true parade. That was the first parade I ever saw there.
Okay, so you remember, because I couldn't remember it, and I was like. And I'm looking at the Mickey, and I'm eyeing this Mickey up, and I'm like, all right, this Mickey's old.
Share a dream come true parade. There we go. Thank you very much.
Okay. So the article goes on to basically say that, so you'd like to take your family to Walt Disney World, but the price tag is too high? Money Magazine says you may have to work some magic to afford the most magical place on Earth in 2017, thanks to recent ticket and lodging price hikes. Okay, reasonable.
Oh, gosh, not again.
The latest ticket price hike is $125 a day, is putting it out of reach for many families. Well, okay.
Okay.
Starting to lose me a little bit here. In what it really costs to go to Disney World, which I'm assuming is another article because it looks like it's a hyperlink, many say the average 4-day visit for a family of 4 now costs more than $6,000. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. You are completely wrong. There's no way.
I've done some pretty elaborate trips in my time, and I've never come anywhere close to $6,000.
No, I've traveled to where I was staying, for a week, paying almost $700 a night for a hotel. and granted there was only two of us, was not $6,000.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, and I know you're going to break this down a little bit, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself, even if you there are some nights at the Polynesian that are, like you said, $700 a night. And that's okay. If you think about it, for a 4-night trip, that's less than $300 or less than $3,000. And then anybody who says Disney costs $125 a day is putting that into a wrong context, because it might be $125 a day, but which day are you going for multiple? Are you buying multiple single day tickets? Hello, hashtag you're doing it wrong. So, I mean, Go and break it down. I get really perturbed when I hear really poorly written journalism like this. And forgive me to those who are journalists that do a great job, but you hear stuff like this and you gotta give it a negative shout out.
And, it does go on to say that, their exclusive, travel partners that came out and said, hey, what are you talking about? You basically, a family can go for like 5 nights with tickets for just around $2,000. I know people were saying, well, is the flight included? I'm just talking strictly because it would be way too hard for me to quantify exactly where people are flying from and time of flight. So what I did was I just said, I'm going to go on my Disney experience, go on, WaltDisneyWorld.com, and I clicked for 2 adults, 2 children, ages 10 and 7. Random ages, right?
But that's a very good breakdown, because you have 2 adults, you have 1 child, and don't forget that 10-year-old is considered an adult.
Yes. So I went with that. So then you basically have 3 adults, 1 child, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I decided to check everybody in on July 17th, which is a Monday. Okay. And we're going to say, we're going to throw in a Saturday, so I have us checking out on July the 22nd. Okay.
That's this coming July. Okay.
Yeah. So right in the heart of the summer, all the kids are out of school. It's going to be busy. It's right after July 4th. Let's get moving with this.
Sure.
So I decided to say, well, where do we want to stay at? Well, if you are obviously a family on a budget, you might not be able to afford, a Grand Floridian. Makes perfect sense. You might not be able to. You might not even be able to afford a Riverside. Nothing wrong with that. So let's go with the cheapest offer they have, and this is what their summer package offer. Okay, it is you get a 5-day hopper.
Okay,
5-day hopper, and staying at Pop Century. Pop Century was $119 a night. So after Pop Century, taxes, and your 5-day hopper for a family of 4. $2,145.80. So where they're getting the $6,000, I'm assuming they're trying to basically stick it to Disney and say, fine, we're going to be there for 5 days. They're buying 5 one-day park hoppers. So they're going to hit you for the 127
times 4.
So basically, right there, you're talking about 125. What are you talking about? That's almost 500. That's about $500 a day just in tickets. When you do the single day tickets, well, you times that by 5 days. You're talking about
that's another $2,500.
$2,500. Well, then if you want to stay at, say, Grand Floridian, where it's on a good night, $500 a night, you're talking about for 4 nights is $2,000. We'll say $2,500. So there's $5,000 right there.
And another $1,000 for flights, easy. Let's just call it that. And that's if you really are able to get $250 flights. I know from Chicago, I can't get anything for less than about $300 is a good day, and that's even. And I will say, before people say, "Well, why don't you try this airline or this airline or that airline?" It's almost any airline. In fact, there are some airlines that you would probably say, "Hey, that would be a cheap airline to fly on." I bet you I could find it cheaper on another airline that you wouldn't think. Just saying. I actually did a show not too long ago in regards to trying to find some good flights, but that's beside the point. I mean, yeah, you're talking not planning properly, to be honest with you. Yeah, even in flight, it shouldn't be $4,000. You're absolutely right, Tanya. I mean, you're doing it wrong. I mean, it's like, let's see, Sandra's basically saying,
sorry, there you go.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. We're coming from the UK next month. 2 adults, flights, hotels, 14-day park tickets, staying at All Stars. In the UK, it's £3,000, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about, I'm going to give it take about $4,000 US. I'm just throwing out a rough estimate with the exchange rate there. I mean, that's all. I mean, that's really good, and you've got a long trip there planned, and also you're not even including food, Danny, in that little bit there.
No, and I'm not. But even if I scroll in and say, fine, let's go add. We could say, let's add the Disney dining plan, which is in the middle between, you get your one quick service meal, your one table service meal, your refillable mug, and 2 snacks. All it goes up to is $3,310.96. And I say only $3,300. Granted, that can price out a lot of families. Is Disney almost pricing people out to a point? We've had this discussion. Maybe to a point, I can understand that. The way I look at it is maybe if you were used to going multiple times a year, maybe you're down to once a year. Or maybe if you were going once every year, maybe you're going every other year. So is Disney really pricing people out? To an extent. I can understand that statement. But be realistic when you make the statement. Do not say $6,000 and be like, oh, that's the cheapest you can go for, when I just did everything food included for $3,300 without flight.
Well, let me throw this out at you for a second. And I'd love to see what some more viewers have to say about this too. I know that Disney does their price increases, and they do price increases on everything. Mainly tickets is the one that's mostly talked about. Hotel rooms is one that is talked about, but not as much. And then, of course, food, but mainly because the dining plan goes up. And when the dining plan goes up in cost, guess what? All the other food prices go up accordingly. It's not like the dining plan just goes up and all the food prices are the same. They raise it. If you think about it, everything goes up. I mean, take a look at the price of a bottle of soda or a bottle of water for that snack credit. It's all of a sudden now it's over $3 for something like that. It used to be like $2.50. Now 50 cents doesn't sound like a lot in the whole scheme of things, but it's still a pretty significant price increase. But here's the thing: if I'd love to do a comparison of what a typical vacation cost last year versus 2 years ago versus 5 years ago. And I'm not picking those times arbitrarily, because I think what we would see is this. If your average trip costs you $3,000 and price goes up about 10% across the board, you're going to see that $3,000 go up to about $3,300. Okay. That's quite obvious. $3,300, or an extra $300, is about $30 a month. And I'm doing some rounding Chris math here for a minute. $30 a month is not necessarily chump change. I mean, if you think about it, some families can do a lot with $30 a month, and I don't discredit that one bit. But if $30 a month is going to break you, and cause you to say, I can't do this anymore, then that's understandable. But that is not saying that Disney is pricing everybody out. That means your particular financial situation is changing. And I have done that too. I have been in financial situations where I've had to cancel trips because of certain costs and so on and so forth. But I think more so I would change my plans in order for me to go. My vacation time with my family is very important. Instead of flying, maybe consider driving. I mean, $1,600 for my family to fly down to Florida. It cost me $400 in fuel for Diz Truck 1 round trip. And that's on a bad day. And that thing sucks fuel like a bad nightmare. Trust me, it sucks fuel like a bad nightmare. In some cases, it doesn't get miles to the gallon. It gets gallons to the mile. But still. And keep in mind, everybody, I'm really, okay, let's see. Same plan, same hotel, dining plan, $3,000 last year, $4,000 this year from Stephanie. That's an interesting comparison. And especially, I know there are some hotels that go up more and more in price, which I'm not saying this is a plug, but it also kind of makes you wonder, what would be, better. Maybe it's good to talk to a travel agent.
But maybe something's going on in that hotel this year that wasn't going on last year.
Oh, very good point. I mean, things do change according to a demand and stuff like that. It's not just the seasons. Yeah, you're right. It's all about price, about the prices and stuff like that. The price influx and stuff like that. sometimes, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes you need to talk to a good travel agent, like, Mouse Master Travel. They'll go and they found Danny some good, decent deals, that, would really help. Being an annual pass holder sometimes helps, because sometimes if you're going to take those longer trips, it's going to lower your cost per day dramatically. I mean, these are just some things these are things that people don't always realize, but we're trying to help people out by realizing there's more than just one option that what you see in some article on the internet. And that irritates me, because then everybody gets upset at Disney when, forgive me for saying, I'm saying this as a joke, it's a form of fake news, because it's not really true.
Well, what I was thinking though too is, say sometimes you're looking on the Disney Experience, right? You're looking on My Disney Experience, and you're looking at prices of hotel, and you come across and be like, wow, Art of Animation is $390 a night. What is going on? People think that that's a basic room, but it's not.
No.
They might have sold out their basic room. That might be their suite, or that might be their preferred room. So can prices go up? Yes. Maybe when you were booking your trip last year, you got a basic room for $120 a night, but this year you're now paying $180 a night or $160 a night, because maybe the basic room was sold out and now you're stuck in a preferred room. So when you're comparing apples to, it's hard to compare an exact trip to an exact trip. And
I totally agree.
And I feel bad if you're paying $1,000 more. That's crazy to pay $1,000 more. So to me, it sounds like there's an underlining factor that either you're not getting the same exact room, or something's going on that week that didn't happen last year, or something's going on in that particular hotel that didn't happen that year. Like, prices go up, so you have to expect, I would have said maybe a few $100s, but to go up a full grand, something's not sitting right. And I'm not calling Stephanie. I'm not saying what you're saying is untrue. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there has to be a reason why, because if we sit down and do the math, the ticket prices didn't go up enough to do that.
And there's also one other thing to think about. Our friends overseas, in the UK, they good deals that with States. And so they see a way different type of increase in it may be a whole lot less of packages are different. They also have different types of tickets. Like, they can get 14-day tickets instead of annual passes. The big difference is that here, for those of us here in the States, we don't get the offer 14-day tickets and stuff like that. The thing is that it's apples to apples. I mean, every exact thing to be the same.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next thing that we wanted to talk about, which was the 22nd Epcot International Food and Wine Festival grows once again. And it seems like everything, if you haven't checked it out, go to behindtheenewspodcast.net. We've revamped the entire website. We've revamped our blog, and I've written a couple pieces so far on a series called The Hard Ticket Event. And I've only started into the Halloween segment, but I touched on the first one about, hey, look, it is growing again between the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Once again, the dates are going longer and longer and longer. Every year we're seeing not only – now, see, here's where it kind of plays into the last thing I just said. Not only are you going – the prices are rising, but the days are getting longer with it. So that's how Disney is going to be able to quantify it. And if anybody, needs a great travel agent, absolutely go over to mousemastertravel.com, tell them Behind the Ears podcast sent you, tell them you want a similar deal that Uncle Danny got, and they will try their best. So Stephanie, if you're looking for an agent, even if you've already booked, go over to mousemastertravel.com and they'll be able to help you guys out. I see some people saying our audio is cutting out here and there. I am working on it while we speak, but let's get back to it. So the 22nd Epcot International Food and Wine Festival grows to 75 days and now runs from August 31st through November 13th. You can celebrate as a family 35 years of Epcot during delicious dining around the world. Let's see here. So once again, it is August 31st and November 13th. That is a 75-day run. You know, this festival started back in 1996, and once again, it is running for an additional 13 days this year.
13 days.
Extra 13 days. You know, some of the things to look forward to, we have a couple new marketplaces, and it has been announced that in addition, India, which was around back in 2009, and Spain, which was there in 2010, will return for an encore. And for a third year, global marketplaces will extend into Future World to offer brand new taste sensations. You know, Disney chefs will be in their kitchen whipping up delicious things, you know, giving little recipes and seminars. 3-time nightly E to the Beat concerts. There's 225 concerts by the end of the 75-day run. That is a crazy amount of concerts.
Did they say 3 concerts a night?
That's what they're basically going with. Yeah, three times nightly. So 225 altogether.
And they take that right up to time when Illumination starts too.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, there's going to be a lot of popular chefs and other culinary icons in there, you know, with, you know, veteran foodies to inspire their plates as a festival center demonstrates all these things going on. There's a festival focus of your family, which will spotlight inspired dishes geared towards children, you know, palettes and culinary demos. Throughout the 75-day run, park guests can pair wines, beers, ciders, savory and sweet dishes, and, you know, all will basically strolling through showcase and, you know, taking in the sights. There's also a Ratatouille-inspired adventure where basically, you know, Chef Remy gives families a chance to do like a culinary scavenger hunt sort of thing.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's a little different.
I walked behind it. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Which I will take into consideration, you know, my son Willie and some of the parents.
Yeah, sorry. So, you know, we have a complimentary Back to the Basics Festival Center. It's a weekend series which will share, you know, tips and tricks from the pros. You know, you can book and bottle signings by some of the world's top vineries. What else? We also have a culinary demonstration and beverage seminars, which will offer daily learning and tasting opportunities. And, you know, that is on select Saturdays. There's also a cheese seminar, which sounds so good. But they do not announce when that is. You know, they are now finally going to be offering some premiere things. They have a Party for the Senses, which is a grand tasting event that will showcase creative bites and plate-pleasing sips from, you know, different chefs and beverage experts, plus new live entertainment. They have the Resort Premium events, which included in the Grand Floridian brunch with a twist of culinary adventures with master chefs. And then also they have their specialty dining and pairing events that will be on tap at a number of the World Showcase participating restaurants. You know, I am super pumped for some of the things coming out.
You know what my only problem is with the Food and Wine Fest?
What?
You really like, and it's like you plate of it. You know, so it's like all of a sudden you have to go ahead and buy like 4 of them so you can have like dinner with that one item if you really like it.
You know, I saw Stan was asking, when does the concert schedule come out? They have a schedule out there, and we wanted to really talk about it. But from what I've seen, it looks like it's the same schedule, because technically the Flower and Garden Festival is usually some of the same bands, and the Flower and Garden Festival is still going on technically in Disney for, you know, we're recording this episode happens to be on May 16th. So we're, you know, you're talking about 13 more days of it being around. So it's really hard to tell. You know, so with that said, you know, let's stay on food, because, you know, we can't really dive too much into the Epcot Food and Wine just yet, because I just wanted to give you guys a taste of what they were saying. You see what I did there? So it is the My Disney Experience app. Mobile order for restaurants is now alive. A new version of My Disney Experience released today includes the launch of the mobile order service. And if you guys are new to the show, or you're new to this idea, if you haven't read anything about it, welcome, and let's talk about it. Mobile order allows you to pay for meals on the go with the My Disney Experience app, bypassing the queue to order at the restaurant. Using the app, you can select menu items, customize an order, and prepay for your meal. So basically, you'll scroll into the My Disney, you'll see the new icon for you. Click in whatever restaurant that it's available. We're speaking strictly on the restaurants in Pandora. And right now, there is a little thing. I tried to do it today to see what would happen, and it does pop up. It says if you do not have access to Pandora, it's going to tell by your Magic Band that it won't let you order it. So don't try. But basically what you do is you're going to build your order, and then once you pay for it, it'll pop up and say your lunch and or dinner menu, will be ready between now and 8 p.m. So then what you do is when you're arriving at that restaurant, you'll tap the I'm Here button in the app, which will notify the kitchen to prepare your meal. When it's ready, you'll be alerted through the app to pick up the meal at a designated window. Only credit card payments will be accepted via mobile order. Disney Dining Plan guests will have to use the regular line, unfortunately, at the moment.
Now, one thing I want to say about this is something to think about. I read something about this, and people were actually starting to complain about the idea that you couldn't necessarily have it to be like room charged. Mainly because some people from outside of the United States, if they use it if they do it with their credit card, sometimes they get charged a fee for every time they actually go and use that type of service, just because they get a fee charged on a credit card. And at the same time, the whole question of, if kids charge too much on the parents' credit cards, well, you got to have it on My Disney. Quite honestly, if you need to make sure your kids don't have your password for that sort of thing, they won't be able to do it.
Yeah. So, it's been we've touched on a lot tonight. We've really covered a whole spectrum of different things. Chris, do you have anything else you'd like to add tonight?
I'll be really honest. I started thinking about different things in dining and what I would like to actually do this coming to easy for me to say. But I'm talking mainly about my trip coming up, and I know you had some ideas with what you wanted to do for dining. I'll tell you, I'm really trying to get a spot to do a dining package to see Rivers of Light over at Tusker House. I'm going to try to do breakfast over there one morning. Breakfast over there to see Donald. What's wrong with that? So it's just going to be really pretty cool. So there's a lot of things going on in the world of food. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, and as the night progresses on here, my stomach is beginning to growl a little more as I started to venture into some of these fantastic menu items. So, guys, with that being said, thank you for tuning into another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. Do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms. Facebook is Behind the Ears Podcast. Instagram, Behind the Ears Podcast. Twitter is Behind the Ears PC. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, please send them over to behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate and review the show on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Behind the Ears Podcast. And if you are an Android user, you can find us on Google Play and or Podcast Addicts. Don't forget, we only stream live here on Streaming Disney, and we go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will see you all tomorrow night with another exciting episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny, and I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thank you so much for joining us. And by all means, until we meet again, have a magical day. Take care.